Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel, or will they agree with each other? You have to tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, are my excellent co-hosts, Claire Milan.
Hello.
And Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
What is on the agenda for today, Cathal Feeney?
Today we are watching a film called 35 Aside, or as we might say in Dublin, 35 Aside. Just to give a bit of context about this film, I heard about this years ago, about the time it came out. One of my sisters had told me about it, and she was telling me how good it was. And it at the time it won a lot of awards. It around Europe, in Clermont-Ferrand, for instance, it won the three main awards by looks things, the Audience Award, the Canal Plus, and the Grand Jury Prize. It was directed by an Irish filmmaker from Dublin, Damien O'Donnell. And I have this memory of being told at the time that it was sold. That at the time, it's from 1996, and he managed to sell the film. This is at the time when you can make money from short films for something like, I figure, 30 or 40,000 pounds or something like that. Something significant. But anyway, the film. Getting onto the film, it's a comedy set in Dublin, I presume. And it's about a teenage boy who is starting a new school, and he goes to this new school, and his grandmother gives him this stupidly oversized school bag, and he's bullied. He's unmercifully bullied in this new school. It's a comedy. It's kind of lighthearted. This bullying is treated in a lighthearted way. It's sort of played for laughs. For instance, there's a scene where he's been chased by everybody in the school, all the boys, and he's running along the street, and at one point he meets this girl running in the opposite direction, who also has the same school bag, and she's his female equivalent, and they stop and they have a moment, and he gives her a sweet, and then she starts running and he starts running. So his school life is alternated with his home life. So at home he has a sort of his mother, who has this permanent sort of sardonic kind of attitude, his grandmother, and his younger sister, who, as the grandmother in one of the most memorable lines in the film describes her as, "There's something strange about that child." And then there's a father figure there. He's kind of absent, and we find out in the middle of the film why he's absent. And the film kind of goes on like that, and then in that vein, and comes to a nice little resolution, but very enjoyable. There you go.
Yeah, I really liked the look of this film and everything, and it was nice that it was built. It was, what, 96? Is that when you said?
96, yeah, 96.
Yeah, so it was obviously shot on film, and the locations and just the whole look of the film was just really fun. And even though it's a serious subject like bullying, they do it in such a way that makes it entertaining and funny, and you sympathize with this little boy, but you're also capable of kind of laughing at it as well in the absurdity of it in the way that it happens. And the kid's expressions, and he hardly utters a line throughout the entire film. Right? He's only maybe says a handful of things, but he carries it so well, and it's just lovely how he's reacting to the world around him. I think it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's at first I was like, was this made in the 80s? Or I was trying to figure out what year it was, because it comes across extremely dated. But the thing is, I loved it because the comedy in it was absolutely terrific. And again, it was a very serious topic about bullying, but there's some amazing comedic moments. Like, no spoilers or anything, but I loved when they had an up close shot of the father, and then they pull out, and then the father was in front of I don't know, what should I say, in front of a place, and there's a whole scene with him, and it's just absolutely hilarious. And then there was a really serious moment, attempt something, you know, and it's really like my heart was like, oh my God, this is serious stuff. Then it switches back to being comedic, but it's using like it's a really good example of using comedy to, on a really serious topic to show the effects of bullying. And this kind of film is usually more powerful than a drama sometimes. And I also think that they cast this so well. Like the grandmother is absolutely hilarious, and there's one moment where she kind of drifts into the living room, into the kitchen, like as if it's like the in Father Ted as well, that happens with in one scene. Like she's not walking, she just drifts in, and it's just brilliant. And yeah, the little boy in it, he barely utters a word, but there's so much expression in his face, and he conveys it so well. And I noticed actually part of it was filmed in Fairview Park, I think, one part of it, you know, so I recognise that. I think it's a school in Artane, I think it was filmed as well. And 27 minutes long, so it's quite long for a short. And it was interesting, as you said, Carl, that this was sold, was it, for £40,000?
I believe
at the time,
so. I
which is
could be wrong about
unheard of
that, but
nowadays. But I loved when the grandmother came in with like a big present and looked like a birthday present. And then when it opens up, the ugliest school bag,
yeah.
you know, the ugliest, most awful school bag. And then when he meets the young girl with the same school bag, and she's experienced bullying in her all girls school, it's just, there's so many brilliant scenes in it. It was really a lovely delight to watch, and it's lovely to go back into the archives in Irish short films, like way back, and see what was made back then, you know, because a lot of people don't go back and watch them. So that was really interesting.
Well, I mean, this has been online for a few years now, and I only found this out recently. And there's some great visual comic moments. Like another one I remember is one of the boys in his class. Like he's looks like he's about 25. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, I like this. You know, there are at that stage, particularly for boys anyway, and girls, I suppose. You know, like people's sort of hormones kind of, you know, they develop at different rates, and you know, you can have like, you know, boys that look like kids, still, and like that was me, by the way, and then you know, other boys look like grown adults. The funny thing about this guy, Damien O'Donnell, this was sort of a film that sort of made his name and launched his career, and he made like 2 or 3 films around that time. There was one, East is East, which I remember seeing when it came out, or soon after it came out, and it was a good film. It was kind of a comedy set in UK, and there was another one, Inside I'm Dancing was another one, and then which for some reason as Rory O'Shea was here.
I love that film. It's one of my favorite Irish films.
But then, like that was around 2002 or 2004 maybe, and then he disappeared for like 8 years, and it's kind of curious because he seemed to be doing quite well, and then like I think that was the last feature film he made, and then when he came back, he did some episodes of The Savage Eye, and then he's done a couple of shorts, and I think he's working on something else now. But his career trajectory like seems to have gone into sort of free fall after that film. I'd be curious to know why.
He wrote this as well.
He wrote it and directed it. Yes, yeah.
That's because this is an example of really brilliant comedic acting, like really comedic script. You know, that there's elements in it. You know, the kind of even the editing. You know, so this guy is really talented, and yeah, it's surprising that, you know, he's done like Inside I'm Dancing and East is East, and then, you know, what happened after that.
Like there is a short he did about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a completely different style. You know, it's a drama. It's sort of a heart-wrenching drama. How was your day? And out of curiosity, I watched it, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll pick that one week as well. But it's a superb film, and it's like for somebody who has such a low output, you know, it really shows his talent.
Some people are like that, they take long periods of time between their projects, and maybe he's off traveling around or hanging out, or who knows, doing other stuff. But yeah, I'd love to see him do more projects like this one, because it was just wonderful. Like, it really was.
Mm. So shall we
So
rate it, or have you any?
let's do it. Claire, you
Okay,
want to go first? Well, Carl, you can go last since it was your film.
sure.
Okay. So for me, it was such a delight to watch this film from the Irish Short Film Archives. And so I really good comedy in it. Highly recommended to watch it. So I give it 4 out of 5.
Ooh,
Yeah. I'm gonna go 5 out of 5, actually.
wow.
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, I can't
Oh,
find a fault with this film. Like, it was just such a nice, light, fun film. It was a nice length at the, what was it, like around 30 minutes or so. Yeah, across the board, just fantastic. Absolutely.
Oh wow, I feel under pressure now. You put it up to me, Milo. It like for me, like it's a film I've waited to see for such a long time. And I was worried I'd be disappointed by it. If I'd seen it at the time, I I probably would have maybe raved about it a lot more. But since I've seen so many more films in the meantime, and made some, that I'm sort of, in a way, I'm judging it against that. Which is possibly a little bit unfair. Um, but at the same time, I decided before the program rating I was going to give it. So I think I'll stick to it, and I'll give it 4.5.
Mm, good ratings. I know I was thinking about this, like how often, I'm
oh,
curious how
okay.
often our ratings change from the point that we start till the point that we end. Like, we should actually just write it down on a piece of paper and then hold it up and see.
Oh
Really,
yeah.
that way you can't change it. Um, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
well, no budget audience. So what we're saying here is we really enjoyed this film. We absolutely recommend you see it. It is available on Vimeo, so we'll throw a link out to it. And always let us know what you think via social media at No Budget Show on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And until next time, we will see you later.
Right.
We'll assume Claire said bye there.